Welcome back into the Collins It Like It Is podcast. I am your regular host, Sean Collins. I've got this stranger. I don't know how he even got this link. I was planning on
Hey
just
yo,
doing this, by myself,
let's
like
go.
last time, and this stranger hopped on with me. No, in all seriousness, you got him. You got him back. Stephen
Let's
Collins
go.
with me, the big
Guess who's
bro.
back? Steven's back. Let's go. Return of the Mac, 90s kid, fire up the song. Let's go. Insert the sound effects. Like we're ready to
Yeah.
rock, baby. Bash Bros are back. The original duo. It's time to talk some Mariners. Let's go. This season may have wanted to make me gouge out my eyes. I'm going to a game Thursday. There's a flickers of hope. Trade deadline's right here. Massive moves are being made. Let's go, baby. Let's talk about this team that makes me want to gouge
Yep.
out my eyes and it kicks me in the stinking stomach. But hey,
Yeah.
we love them. Let's talk about them. I've emerged from my hibernation.
Yeah.
I was in the Northwest, just hiding out. Actually, it's really what it is. Summers are beautiful. We've been quite busy. And it's the old adage, if you got nothing nice to say nothing at all. And so I've kept my mouth shut this season when it goes to the Mariners. But hey, it's we're right on the cusp of a new chapter on this Mariners season. We just won the series against the Twins. We had the most exciting game of the season against the Dodgers. Hey, all we can do is do what's ahead of us right now, baby. Let's see what
Yep.
happens. Some big stuff is going on. These Mariners, they drive us nuts, but there are Mariners. And if you're not used to losing, welcome to Seattle when it comes to not the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Guess what? We got a parade on that one. But Seattle Mariners, whew. Let's see what happens, man. It's been a frustrating season, maybe the most frustrating season to date, but there's still time to fix that.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Sean,
I can
good
tell
talking
you,
with you, dude. Let's go. It's been a while.
it's good to talk with you too. I tell you what, being a Mariners fan is not for the weak. It's not for the weak. You have to be such a just mental, just absolute, what's the
Builds
right word?
character. Builds
Total.
resilience. You gotta have some grit, man.
And I tell you what, if I don't know if there's any ladies listening to this podcast, probably there are. I tell you what, you don't have to worry about, is my husband being faithful? If he's if he's a Mariners fan, I can tell you he is.
He's
He's
faithful.
out with the boys on poker night when he says he's out with the boys
Yeah.
on poker night. It's just you don't have to worry about it.
If he sticks it through with the Mariners, he'll stick it with you, baby.
If he's walking out the door with a Mariners hat on, you don't have to worry about what he's up to. He's
Yeah,
up to something wholesome.
you can
Uh,
go to Yellowstone with him. He's all faithful. You can save the trip. Just look at him.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. This is
Yeah.
this is a big moment though. We got the trade deadline here, Sean. I know you had a couple topics you wanted to get into. I mean, the lead for a Mariner. If somebody didn't catch the news, big departure coming. Tell us what's going on there.
Well, not too surprising, but I'd say a little bit surprising. Luis Castillo got traded to the White Sox, and yeah, the White Sox took on Luis Castillo's remaining salary for 2026, along with his full contract in 2027, if there is a season. We'll get to that. As well as if he does hit his incentives to get that player option, they would, in addition to that, pick up his player option. So if we don't consider the player option and we consider what we got back for Castillo, which was Sir Anthony Dominguez was a relief pitcher who is owed $10 million next year. So, long story short, we will save about $15 million in this deal. We also got a catching prospect who's been mashing in Double A. And like I said, we got Sir Anthony Dominguez, who is kind of going to be probably like a middle reliever type, pitcher for us.
It's good
But
after watching Bizarro today. You might need
yeah,
to get warmed up, buddy.
but no, I don't think that we're sellers at all. This is kind of get into the point of The Rock. The Rock was awesome for us.
Yeah,
He was the day that we traded for Luis Castillo was the day that the rebuild ended.
that's right. That's right.
There's there's only a handful of trades that I remember, like in terms of like I remember where I was, I remember the way it made me feel, for better or worse. And Luis Castillo was one of those trades. I remember I was in Tahoe when that trade went through, and I remember reading it and being just psyched out of my mind that we were going to have Luis Castillo. And if you remember, when we traded for Luis Castillo, we were getting absolutely shellacked by the Astros, and no one cared because we got Luis Castillo, and that was the first time we were buyers in really the Jerry Dipoto era post rebuild, and it was really significant. And yeah, Luis Castillo was awesome for the Mariners. All star, pitched 4.5 seasons for us. Had some of the biggest starts in Mariners history. We look at last year, him coming into the relief role in that Tiger series, and was a huge reason why you got even to the ALCS and had some of the most magical moments in Mariners history. Like Luis Castillo was there for all of it. We're about to do our 50 greatest Mariners of all time. Luis Castillo will absolutely be in that list. And
Unquestioned.
yeah, and he was just the Rock. His nickname is perfect for him. And um, there's just the reality of Father Time caught up with him. And if I look at this trade kind of in a vacuum as far as who The Rock is now, what he's worth, what his value is relative to his contract, I'm honestly pretty floored that the White Sox would do this. Um, there's two kind of ways that you can look at Luis Castillo. One is his velocity really hasn't dipped. If you look at his spin rate on Savant, if you look at a lot of the things that are underlying for Luis Castillo, he looks very similar to what he did last year. It's just the results aren't there at all. And if you look at his starts, he's just getting hit really hard this season. And for $25 million next year, that's a huge risk, and I'm honestly shocked that the White Sox
Yeah.
were willing to take that on without the Mariners giving up money. We also got prospect, like a legitimate prospect in return as well. So, obviously, Sir Anthony Dominguez, his salary does a little bit kind of work as the White Sox giving or the Mariners giving about $10 million back because Sir Anthony Dominguez isn't worth anything. He's a replacement level player that we're going to pay $10 million to as a reliever. So that is a little bit of the Mariners kind of kicking in. But yeah, as far as Luis Castillo goes in a vacuum, I'm pretty surprised that the Mariners were able to get this deal done. I think it works out really well for the Mariners and opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal for the Mariners, just within the reality of the confines of what Seattle Mariners baseball is. Like
Yeah.
we'll get into this later, but like we're not the Dodgers.
Mm-mm.
Like there's a reality of there is a constraint that is put on as far as cash flow, as far as like what people are willing to spend,
Right.
and just flushing essentially, for lack of a better term, $25 million next year into
Mm-hmm.
something that's not going to return $25 million. We're not the Mets, we're not the Yankees, we're not the Dodgers. We're a mid-market franchise and you can't just be spending that money there. And so I think this opens up possibilities to spend that money better. Now, do I like those restrictions? No. Do I lament those restrictions? Yes. But you have to work within reality here.
Yeah.
And the reality is that money is needed elsewhere. I wish it wasn't, but it just is. Do I wish we
Right.
could keep, Luis Castillo? Yeah. Do I like him as a player? Yeah. Is he one of the 50 greatest Mariners? Undoubtedly, but we can't work in the just the reality of Seattle Mariners baseball, which is none of us can change that. There's just a reality of like that money needs to be spent elsewhere for a more impactful $25 million.
Yeah. We just have so much coming up the pipeline too for starting pitching with Kate Anderson and Ryan Sloan and even guys like Logan Evans next year can eat innings for you and Luis Castillo, like you're saying, there's just a lot better money spent in the Seattle Mariners organization than spending it on a starting pitcher right now. And so yeah, I think that this will allow you to potentially extend somebody that you wouldn't have otherwise extended. I think it could allow you to potentially go out and acquire somebody in free agency. Though, do you really want to,
Huh.
give Jerry Dipoto and company, money in free agency versus just extending the guys we have because their track record with free agency is horrific. We'll get into that, but yeah, regardless, I think that this was overall a good move for Seattle. But to answer your ultimate question, does this mean the Mariners are sellers? No. This was just your kind of typical move that would just be kind of clearing salary. Stuff like this happens all the time in the off season. It's just the timing was right for you to do that now. So that this really wasn't a buying move. It wasn't a selling move. This was a, hey, the White Sox are willing to do this right now, and this makes a lot of sense payroll wise and roster fit wise. And so, yeah, I think that that's really what happened. It wasn't a buying or selling move. It
Yeah,
was just a, you know, hey, we got to do this right now and bird in hand.
totally. And in a world where we've been piggybacking, the idea of clearing out a starter is sensible.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like it. But also when you're sitting 4 games below 500, 115 or whatever games in the season, at some point it feels like this is a year that it's kind of stand pat. With predictions as far as like buy or sell, there might be a couple fringe things on the side, but I'd be standing pat. And because I believe you asked the question, Sean, when you did the solo episode, I thought it was really good on just would you fire Dan? Would you fire Jerry? And for me, the illustration that came to mind was imagine with me that the Mariners are a restaurant. And imagine with me that the owner of the restaurant, the manager of the restaurant, they got all these different ingredients to cook all these different dishes. And what they did is that owner went and got premier ingredients. Like these are not like, going to the like going to grocery outlet and finding something that's going to expire the next day. These are like premier ingredients. The Julio Jones in his prime, Cal Raleigh in his prime,
Julio
Josh Naylor in his
Jones.
prime, Julio Jones, sorry, Julio Rodrigez in his
Yeah.
prime.
There you go.
I think I've actually done that before, but
Yeah. That's all right.
I think about the starting rotation we have. Yeah, I think about even getting guys like Brendan Donovan. Like these are good ingredients, and then you go to like have somebody get served at that restaurant, and everyone keeps getting food poisoning. It's like I don't think that's the guy's fault who like bought all the ingredients. It seems like some people can't cook. And at some point, like before I'm saying, hey, go fire the guy that keeps getting good ingredients, I'm saying, hey, we might want to replace the guy who's training the cooks. We might want to like figure out like what's going on with quality control there. And I get it. If somebody's like, hey, it's been 11 years, we only have a couple playoff appearances, like it's time to move on. You said this in the podcast. I'd be really slow to getting rid of somebody who has shown a real talent of being able to acquire really good ingredients for your restaurant. And so I'd be much more apt to say, let's find somebody who can maximize these ingredients because we've seen him over and over and over again find quality ingredients. And you said this, I don't want to turn into the Colorado Rockies. I don't want to turn into a bottom basement level franchise with another GM that I'm not confident can scout talent the way that their team can. So to me, this isn't a Jerry DePoto issue of like you didn't give the Mariners enough talent. He gave them all the talent in the world. To me, this does fall into Dan Wilson's shoulders, and I'd move on from Dan.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And I don't think there's a wrong answer to this, but I thought you spelled that out well in your last. And so I wouldn't be adding, I wouldn't be subtracting. I would stand pat. I would move on in the manager position, and because I think there's too many people getting food poisoning out of the kitchen, and the ingredients are too good, and the recipes are too proven. And so I'd move on from the person making decisions about how dishes are cooked. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, I said all that in our last episode, and obviously I still agree with it. Nothing's changed in the last 4 games or 5 games or however many there's been since our last episode. But I do think I'll put it this way: if you're sitting here going, "You guys are nuts, fire Jerry DePoto," I don't think you're crazy. Like I
No,
don't I don't think you're crazy at all. Reason for that is this is the only off season coming into this season where I think that statement you just made is actually true, where we did have the correct ingredients. How many times did we come on this podcast and bang our heads against the walls about Tommy La Stella and Cooper Hummel and AJ Pollock and rolling into, last season, 2025, with the plan at third base being Jorge Polanco and Rowdy Tellez at first base, and that was the plan going into the last season. This year,
Yeah,
looking around, it's like,
yeah,
dang, this was pretty good. Like you got the premier ingredients with the premier appliances, and you went out and you did your due diligence on Indeed, and you got the top chef that was Michelin star, and he came in and he burnt the restaurant down. Like there is two sides of this,
yeah,
but there's one side that says, who cares? You don't get benefit of the doubt because this is year 11 and you've only made the playoffs twice. And I think that that's extremely valid. And then there's the other side, which is where we stand, where it's like, I'm kind of looking more at the players. You finally got process correct, and they
yes.
just pooped the bed. So yeah, it's really nuanced, and like I said, if you're sitting here watching this saying you have to fire Jerry Dipoto, or you're going into the comments saying you guys are crazy, you need to fire Jerry Dipoto. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even push back on that.
No, no. If we get across the ticker, he's been fired. I'm not like, what are we doing? I just
No,
wouldn't do it. Like,
exactly.
I think on the cost benefit analysis, like, man, it can get dark real quick. And I
Hmm.
remember some early 2010s, late 2000s Mariners baseball. It can go real bad real
Yep.
quick. And he has a skill. He can draft. That guy can identify talent, and that is a
Well, he has a
very
team that can do it,
yes,
but
yes,
minor league coaches are awesome, scouts are awesome, we
yes,
draft amazingly,
yep.
and that's a big deal.
That is valuable.
Yeah, and we trade away the wrong guys, with the exception of Ketel Marte, but that was also a decade ago. We have a tendency to trade the right guys too. Like
Yeah,
there's not Edwin Arroyo or Marte, the other Marte, that's coming around with the Reds, and just we're sitting there going, oh my goodness,
yeah,
Ben Williamson isn't batting with a
yeah,
900 OPS with 30 bombs this year, like. Uh, there's just that reality of we have a tendency to trade away the guys that don't come back and hurt us. With the one huge exception to that was a decade ago when we traded away Ketel Marte. But guys learn, people improve.
yep,
And for the last basically post rebuild, the track record is pretty impeccable when it comes to
yeah,
trading away the right guys and drafting the correct ones. And if you don't get it right, you're still able to get extreme value out of trading a guy like Harry Ford for a guy like Ferrer this year. You were able to trade away to get Luis Castillo, the Martes and the Arroyos of the world. And are we missing Brody Hopkins and Aiden Smith right now? No, we're not.
desperately.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I'm gonna ask you one question about Castillo, and then I have one subject that I know we got to talk about. And my Castillo question to you is this: what's your favorite Castillo memory?
Hmm. It's definitely him just shoving against the Blue Jays in the 2022 wild card series. I mean, it's the closest thing I've ever seen to Pedro Martinez.
Mm,
Closest thing I've ever seen. Prime Pedro Martinez was unbelievable. Probably the best pitcher outside of Randy Johnson I've ever seen. Roger Clemens might have a thing to say about that. Greg Maddux too. But Prime Pedro, that's about as good as it
yeah,
gets. And that game, I remember watching it going, dude, this dude's pumping 100 miles an hour. And that just horizontal break on that sinker was just,
yeah.
I've never seen anything like it other than Pedro. So yeah, I would say that that's the moment for me that really stands out. For me personally, though, like on a personal level, Luis Castillo threw a couple of balls to me at the Oakland Coliseum. There was a bunch of fans all around us, and they were all going crazy and trying like how fans for batting practice will yell at the players to get a ball. Everyone around us was doing that, and we were just soaking in batting practice. And Luis Castillo pointed us out, threw us a couple balls, and really great memories. And my kids still remember that to this day. So yeah,
I knew you were gonna share that story, and I was like, man, that's what I think of. Even I wasn't there, but
yeah.
just knowing that and knowing that that's just cool, man. Those are cool memories, and I wish him nothing but the best in Chicago. Like if the White Sox are playing, any other team in the American League, I'll be rooting for him because
Oh yeah.
I want to see Castillo make a run at it.
Yep.
We were talking about restaurants and stuff. This reminded me in Inside Out when in the first one
Hmm.
when the emotion anger says, congratulations, San Francisco, you ruined pizza with the broccoli on the pizza.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, congratulations, LA Dodgers, you ruined baseball. So,
Yeah.
Tariq Skubal to the Dodgers. Um, why are we playing the games exactly now? Like at some point, we've just guaranteed that lockout is not only impending, but it's actually absolutely necessary.
Yes.
And
If
it's
yeah, if the players association cannot agree to a salary cap, then lock them out.
yeah.
Like this is
And I think there needs to be
ridiculous.
a salary floor and a salary cap, both of them,
Yes.
like together. Like those both need to happen. And
Yeah.
it's just gotten absurd. Like this is has there always been players that come over and quote unquote super teams? Yeah, that goes back as long as sports has happened. Like,
Yeah.
and this is taking it to a place that's never happened before. I like at some level, if I'm Scooble, I don't even want this.
Yeah.
Like, this
Oh,
is
for
just like,
sure.
well, why would you even go there, man? Like, it's just, it feels so cheap. It'd be like, hey, the Warriors went when Durant went to the Warriors, it was like, come on. And then it'd be like the next year, all of a sudden you're getting Carmelo Anthony, and it's like, holy smoke! Like at some point, it's like, guys, you're just piling on at this point, and it's gotten so gross that I just think about all the best players on the Dodgers, from Mookie Betts to Freddie Freeman to Yamamoto to Otani to now Skubal to Glasnow to Snell to you can just keep going down the line. It's like none of these guys came up through their system. None of these get like these are all either trade and you don't really care about the numbers, or it's just exorbitant, free agent dollars, and it's just like that's not the way baseball was meant to be played. That's not how you build a roster. And it's
Yep.
just like, congratulations, Dodgers. You ruined baseball.
Yep.
It sucks.
Yep. Um, I can't believe I'm going to come on here and defend billionaires. Feels icky. Feels really icky. But I feel like people need to understand what they're saying when they come on and say like, "Oh, well, just spend. You're worth $2 or $3 billion. Just spend the money." Um, let's have a little economics lesson because I feel like fans don't understand illiquid versus liquid. Um, so yeah, let's take the Mariners. Let's take the Mariners. John Stanton, he's worth about 2.3 to 2.9 billion, depending on what site you look at. The majority of that net worth comes from T-Mobile and it comes from the Seattle Mariners. So if you broke into John Stanton's house with a genie and said, "I
He
need
does have
to,
$2.3 billion dollars laid around.
yeah, I need to liquidate all of your assets that are just physical assets, including what's in your bank," wouldn't probably be that much. And I'm just isolating him, but I could be slightly wrong, in terms of how the numbers break down. But regardless, he's looking at about a 2.3 to 2.9 billion dollar net worth. So for him to give a $700 billion, or sorry, $700 million contract to Shohei Otani on top of all the other deals that you just listed out, he literally is not. He doesn't have it. Like he does not have that. Like the Mariners have to be a self-sustaining business because it's a business, and he's not liquid to just like
Yeah. Yeah.
have that cash laying around or be able to access that cash to
Yeah.
be able to just start funneling in money the way that a $13 billion owner can, like the Dodgers. So you have to be able to regulate this stuff because the Brewers and the Mariners and the Reds and
Yeah.
you name it, the Marlins, the revenue that they have for the players, because they don't have a owner that has liquid assets to be able to just have an unlimited payroll. They they have to rely on the revenue that their team creates in order to fund their payroll. That's just like any other business, like
Yeah.
any other
Man,
business in the entire
$20
world.
billion dollar owners live in a different world than the $2 billion dollar owners. If you go back to
Yes.
some of our original podcasts, we talked about there's the kiddie table. Now, don't get me wrong. Compared to you and I, he's living in a different
Yes.
stratosphere universe. Like, but amongst the owners, there's a kiddie table and there's the big boy table. And the
Yes.
reality is, the Mariners is Stanton ultra wealthy? Yes. Is he in a different universe than any of us will ever get to? Yes. But compared to the other owners, he is not liquid like they are.
He
And then
can't spend. He doesn't
he
have it.
can't.
He doesn't have it.
He can't do it. And it's
So,
not like the NFL where, like, here's the deal. Stanton wouldn't have even been able to make a bid on the Seahawks. Like, when
yes.
you talk about just like other owners who own teams, the level of billionaire you are is you're in the teens. You're in the
Yes.
20s of billions of dollars.
Yes.
And it's just a different universe. Like
Yeah.
you said, I mean, if you're talking about $700 million, that's a third of his total net worth.
Yeah,
Like
and he
you
doesn't have
can't
it.
do
Like
that.
he
None of
doesn't
us.
have a way to tap into that. If
Yeah, you can't do it.
so, and also I don't hear us say also that like we're just letting Stanton off the hook. The Mariners should have a payroll relative to their market, and they don't. And so
It
that's
should
not
be a little
acceptable.
more,
Should
but they're
be
not going to be the Dodgers.
should be about $30 million higher, which is a lot.
Yeah,
But it ain't Otani. It's not Kyle Tucker. It's not Freddie Freeman. It doesn't. Okay, you raise it $30 million. We probably have like Matt Chapman at third base. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different stratosphere, and we have to figure out a way to regulate that. Like, imagine if the Walmart family was a like
That owns the
wh-
Broncos now.
yeah, like
It just was
imagine
able to
if
unregulatingly just go.
yeah, and we expect the Packers to be able to
Yeah.
to like hang with that. It's like this is
GoFundMe account for the payroll for the
what
Packers. It's
that's
like,
essentially look at the net worth of the Reds. Their owner has a net worth. I'm going to say only. This is still ridiculously wealthy,
yeah, yeah,
but the Reds owner only has a net worth of about 400 million.
yeah, yeah.
Like there are guys on pay.
He can't
He can't
afford
even
Otani. Otani's richer than he
can't even
is.
he can't afford
What's
one.
going on?
He literally like Juan Soto, has a higher net worth than the Reds owner. It's just we can't continue on with that, and
The
it's
gap is too big.
the yeah
It's just too big.
and the only and here's also why the Scooble trade matters, because you could be sitting here going like, well, who like what are we talking about? Scooble was traded for, so like why would this move impact this conversation? And it factors in tremendously. Of It's so relevant, the Scooble trade, because the Dodgers they they are able to trade prospects in a way that no one else can. They're always hyper aggressive at the deadline, and they're always able to trade away prospects because it doesn't matter what the player they're acquiring is making. So Scooble, he's the highest. Got to remember, he's the highest paid player in arbitration in Major League history, or at least as a pitcher. But I think that it's the highest arbitration ever. The Dodgers don't care. Like it's the reason you don't ever see a quarterback traded for in the NFL. It's because the numbers don't work. It shouldn't just be, oh, well, we want to trade for Scooble so we can, and the money is just monopoly money. That's what the reality is for the Dodgers. It's not the reality for the Brewers. It's not the reality for the Mariners, or any other team basically besides the Mets.
Why did
Um,
we have to trade away Castillo and the Dodgers traded for School?
yeah,
That's the entire story. That's the
totally.
entire story right there. We had to
Eh,
shed salary in a market that's not Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Um, but also the Dodgers are able to trade prospects because they can always backfill what their prospects lack. If a prospect busts and it was part of their plan, who cares? They're just going to buy whatever they need anyways. Whereas the Brewers, if they trade away a prospect and they end up don't and they don't have that replacement, the Brewers are rolling out guys like Ben Gamel, and look down the list of the players the Brewers have had, and that's not a way to have any sort of sustainable you know system. So
You said on Twitter today, like it'll be fascinating if we get like Dodgers Brewer or Dodgers like Rays
yeah,
as the World Series as a case study against these. What will be case in point is if we get Yankees Dodgers as our World Series. What'll be actually just hilarious is if we get like Brewers Rays as our World Series. And just be like, what are you guys talking about? This is the dumbest conversation ever.
I don't
Uh,
see that happening.
no, I don't know what you do with Yamamoto and Scooble and Otani, like and Co. I mean it's not hyperbolic to say this is the greatest rotation in the history of baseball. The Dodgers are putting together. I saw a graphic they were talking about just there's a few that are in conversation, those 90s, Braves and others, but
Yeah, those guys were only three deep. They're seven deep
yes, that's the thing. Like they literally are seven deep, and it's
if
just
everyone's healthy. Yeah.
if everyone's healthy, and it's just absurd. It's
Yep.
absurd. So congratulations, LA. You ruined baseball.
Yeah, they
But
kind of did.
you know what it reminds me of, Sean? This might be bad podcasting because you and I are it's a kind of inside joke here, but it's kind of what you did in our Dynasty Fantasy Football League, where it was like, all right, you got everybody. I don't know what to do. Like you won the system, you won the game, and yeah, it's like congratulations, you won. And just for the Dodgers, they're playing just a different game that no one else could play. And it's wild when you make the two New York teams look like poverty franchises. That's
Hmm.
the part is like I don't even know what to do about this.
Yeah.
So, what do you think to shift gears, Sean? What do you think we're gonna do at the deadline? Anything? Is it buy, sell, push? Nothing?
I
Margins?
I don't think we're going to do anything substantial. To be honest with you, maybe a right-handed platoon bat. I just don't see I just don't see them making some big push for a player. One, because there's not really anybody out there. There's not a Naylor. There's not a Suarez player to get this season. Um, so at least from a need. So or from a position of need. So I don't see the Mariners doing anything. I know there's a lot of rumors out there that Kirby's going to get traded or Hancock's going to get traded. I mean, it's obviously a possibility, but I just don't see it. You know, trading away Luis Castillo, it puts everybody in their right spot, and I do think they will trade Kirby, but that feels more like an off-season thing to me. Um, I don't think that they're going to bring up Cade Anderson. I don't even know how many more innings Cade Anderson can throw this year,
Mm.
um, being that we're already trying to stretch him out, and he's going to hit his innings limit. So that's not somebody you're going to be able to plan on. Same thing goes for Ryan Sloan. So I think you probably just keep with the rotation you have, and you may be able to trade Hancock and Kirby this offseason. Or maybe you're able to trade Logan Gilbert if you can't extend him. But regardless, trading a pitcher right now that we've traded Luis Castillo, feels to me more like an offseason thing. Um, but I think it is a possibility you could trade a Kirby. Heliot Ramos to me feels like it'd be a really good fit if there was a guy out there where, hey, you could make that big swing. There's been a lot of rumors of Waldschmidt for the Diamondbacks. That feels kind of more like a sell. Oh, that is a selling move if you go that route. But there's been a lot of rumors of maybe a Hancock for a Waldschmidt. But for me, um, the real argument for me of trading Kirby or Hancock is imagine last year being able to say you could trade Hancock for something that was a real asset. You would have, I mean, you couldn't have ran fast enough to the accept button. And so there could be the reality that the Mariners could be looking at this going, hey, remember how bad Hancock was? Somebody's willing to give us a real something for him. Maybe we just cash in because maybe the other shoe's going to drop. So that could be an angle at this. A lot of the guys that the Mariners have been looking to potentially trade for, at least rumored, um, they got hurt. So again, it could be more of an off-season thing for
Yeah.
for Kirby and Hancock if they don't get traded this deadline.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of the year that we traded Seawald away. I don't remember exactly what year that was. This
Yeah.
feels like it was an
I think
underachieving
it was
team.
24.
20, yeah, 23,
23?
24.
Yeah, I think 23. Yeah.
And just, I think it was the year after the drought busted, right?
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah,
the
we
year
got
there.
thank goodness we actually did that though, because we got Canzone. He's
Yeah,
freaking
yeah,
awesome.
total.
This dude's
And so
getting
that
mashed.
ended up being great. But
Yeah.
the idea
Holy
there of like
crap.
the team just hadn't, it didn't earn it, and it was like, hey, we're just doing margin moves, and we're kind of, it was like a slight sell, and then they kind of rallied a bit. They didn't quite get to the finish line, but you know, I could see something like that where it's like, hey guys, you have all the pieces you need.
Yeah.
And Donovan is your all-star, yeah, or not all-star. He's your trade deadline acquisition. And that's just, I mean, seriously hasn't played all year. And so the idea of like we're getting a trade deadline acquisition, we're getting a midseason acquisition in Brendan Donovan, and we'll see what happens. And guys, if you're going to turn it around, it's going to happen from inside the room, not outside. And so that's what I think not only will happen, I think that's what they should do. And I don't think this team has earned a go spend something. I don't even want them to. I don't want them to go try to make an aggressive move.
Yeah.
If you don't intend on signing Kirby to a massive deal, um, which I think there's reasons to be hesitant about that. And if they choose to not do that, and if they know they're not going to do that, well, then don't pull a Shohei Ohtani and let him go for nothing. Like sell while the value is high. I think there's like reasonable reasons to do that. If you don't think Hancock is part of your long-term plans, and I think there's very good reasons not to believe that he is part of your long-term plans, then I think trading him for a actual piece is good business. And so I think you can be doing a short sell for a long-term buy, if you will. And so I think that's in this season has been beyond disappointing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the future's not very bright for Seattle. And it doesn't mean this team can't just immediately flip the switch. I mean, I'm just still waiting for Cal to look like Cal and Julio and Brendan Donovan and Josh Naylor and
Yeah.
then we got Canzone. I mean, if you would have told us at the beginning of the year that Canzone and Cole Young and Emerson Hancock are going to be, we're going to win 110 games. Like this
Yeah.
is going to be the best team you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just everyone else. And so the idea there of like, guys, we've learned a lot of valuable things this season, but goodness gracious, it's just been a catastrophic series of just unfathomable, just bad
Yeah.
breaks.
There's no player you're going to acquire at the deadline that's going to come close. That's even going to sniff the impact of just a 2024 Cal Raleigh or
Yeah.
and I'm not even talking last year. I'm just
No, no,
talking,
2024.
yeah, 20, I'm being
Like
very
shoot,
specific with that.
batting 220 and hitting 30 dingers.
Yep.
Like
You
that
get
guy.
you get that out of your catcher. There's nothing that you're going to get on the deadline that's going to come close to that. Julio Rodriguez, he's at this point he's having a down year. He's
Yeah.
having a down year. If he's able to just kind of be the back of his baseball card the rest of the season, become that 30-30 Gold Glove caliber center fielder. There's nothing on the deadline that's going to come close to getting that guy hitting third for you. Uh, you know, there's not a player that's as good as Brendan Donovan on the trade deadline right now. Like, there's not a guy there's not a first baseman that can go and be got right now that's going to be as good as the best version of Josh Naylor. So, if we just get those guys right, this team including the Dodgers, could do that. It's just, we keep going back to it. It's how we started this episode. It's just, you know, we're we've only got 50 games left, and um, it's just I'm not expecting it to happen at this point.
Yeah. No.
But no Mariners fan that pays attention can honestly say that it's not possible. It is possible that these guys could do something very special. They have the talent to do it. They just got to do it.
Yeah.
And well, we'll see if they do.
You're talking about there's no acquisition we can make that's bigger than just these guys playing to the back of their baseball card. And you just think about it as like, what are all those core players? What is their WAR this year combined? Versus what would it be on their average season
Oh, I did the
combined?
math on it actually.
Yeah, what is it? It's
So
like, it's like a 10 WAR player we could get.
so so if everybody stays on the current trajectory they're on, or sorry, not Randy Rosarena, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Brian Wu, Munoz, and Josh Naylor. If those five players just continue doing what they're doing, they would finish negative 20 WAR behind what they finished in 2025.
Yeah.
So
I'd like a
they
20
should be,
WAR player.
they should be, with how bad they've been, we should be 15 games back right now, but we're not. If we were playing in the National League, and we'd be sitting here talking about buying at the deadline. Like, what are we talking about? Or it's just, yeah. If we were in the National League, we'd be talking about trading Randy Arozarena. We'd be talking about trading,
Yeah,
you know, Logan Gilbert. I mean,
totally.
but we're not in that boat. And sometimes sports is about getting lucky.
Yeah,
And right now we are extremely lucky to be in the division we're in with the team we have, because we should be buried right now. We should be
yeah.
buried and dead and with no hope. And that's fortunately not the position we're in. So we'll see if they can make something out of it.
We're in a very familiar place. We're looking up at the Astros. So,
Yeah.
what? I've seen this movie before. The
Also,
Astros don't scare me.
yeah. Well, also, if Mariners fans weren't paying attention to what was at, to the standings above us, the Astros sweeping the Rangers was actually a beautiful thing for the Mariners, because we have a possibility of owning the tiebreaker over the Astros. Whereas if the
Yes.
Rangers are the team in the lead, we may as well be a full game behind what the standings show, because there's no way for us to jump them in
Yep.
the standings. Even if we sweep them in our next series, we lose the season series to the Rangers. So when we were 2.5 games back, um, we were really 3.5 back. Whereas with the Astros, we could have the inverse of that.
Yep.
So yeah, the Astros actually sweeping the Rangers was a beautiful thing, because when we go and play the Astros, if we sweep them and jump into first place, then we would be that
We get to control our destiny.
tiebreaker. Yeah,
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 absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, 50 games is a long time. It's a lot.
yeah.
It's a lot of games we played. I'm not holding my breath, but all the talent's there. Again, there's a lot of good ingredients. We'll see what
Hmm.
happens. I'll say the Mariners have made me get in front of the TV in ways that they haven't. so far this year. That game one against the Dodgers was thrilling. Think of the series with the Twins. Watching Cal starting to put the ball, getting some power back. I mean,
Yep.
there's some things. There's sparks.
He's hitting
There's
the ball
glimmers.
hard. He's not
And
yanking everything foul, which is
no,
big. The
it,
numbers aren't there yet for Cal, but if you just watch him, we're starting to see it click a little bit. So
it's the Shawshank quote that you were saying. We've said it many times on this podcast. There's a flicker of hope, but hope's a dangerous thing. It'll make man go insane.
yep,
It's easier to feel numb, but that's not why you become a fan. So
yep,
we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm not expecting much, but you never know. You never know with the Almighty Mariners.
yeah. We'll see. They need to at least win two or three, obviously, against the Tigers. But on it, if I'm being for real, if we're gonna do what we need to do, because the rest of that month is brutal, we really need to sweep the Tigers here because we're gonna need that extra win somewhere, as we face the Rays and the Yankees and all those juggernauts that, the Phillies and all those teams that are coming down the pipeline. So we really can't afford to even lose a game against the Tigers. You know what I mean?
The yeah, I mean you're not joking. Once you get past Detroit, Rays, Yankees, Astros, Brewers, Cubs, Phillies,
That's what I'm
buckle
saying.
up, boys.
That's what I'm
Buckle
saying.
up.
Yeah, just winning the series against the Tigers probably isn't good enough with that because you're not gonna win all those series. That's just the reality. You're not winning all those series. So you're going to need to put that Tigers win because it's impossible to get mad at a series win in a vacuum, but you're going to need to put that win somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So um, yeah,
good
yeah.
luck.
I think no Scooble for the Tigers. We
I'll tell you
avoided them.
what, if we're gonna get where we want to go, we will have earned it.
Yep.
I'll just say we will have earned it. That'll be
But
nothing cheap.
if you're able to just kind of be within striking distance, look at September's schedule.
Yeah, yeah, not exactly a murderer's row. Um, yeah, a lot of A's, Angels, Rockies.
Yeah,
A
that's what I'm
lot of
saying.
A's, Angels, Rockies in
If you're able
September.
to if you're able to dodge the landmines here in August, I'm just saying
It's there.
it's there. Yep, but you got
You
to
know
do
what's
it.
going to happen?
Got to do it.
We're gonna end up beating the Yankees, Phillies, and Cubs, and then get swept by the Angels. Let's just go. It's gonna happen. I've seen this movie before. So there you go. It's gonna come down to some three-game series at the end of the season with the Astros, and we're gonna be pulling our hair out.
Sometimes it feels like the Truman Show being a Mariners fan,
Yeah.
where it's just like the guy behind the screen, just like, how can we torture him? Make Cal hit 60 home runs. All right, now make him the worst player ever. Like, have him sweep the Phillies. No, make them get their teeth kicked in by the Angels. Like that. That's just. I swear, there's a guy behind the screen, like just screwing with us.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. On that note, I got nothing else, dude. Just send us out.
All right, I don't have anything else. Go M's.
Go M's.